It's over. It's literally over. If Liverpool sign Alexander Isak on top of Hugo Ekitike, on top of Florian Wirtz, on top of Milos Kerkez, on top of Jeremy Frimpong, they will be unstoppable. No one will be able to stop Liverpool next season. They will be the best in the Premier League, probably the best in the Champions League, and the best in every other domestic competition. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how Liverpool have been doing so much better in this transfer window than most other clubs. But I'm also going to talk about how they could line up next season and what tactics they might use. And also talk about how if Alexander Isak joins Liverpool, they will be far beyond all the other teams in the world. If you guys enjoyed this style of video, remember to leave a comment down below. And if you think that Liverpool are going to pretty comfortably dominate the Premier League next season, remember to let me know in the comment section. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. The first thing I want to talk about is how good Alexander Isak is as a player. Obviously, currently he is still with Newcastle, but he has agreed on personal terms with Liverpool, and they're looking to send in a bid between 130 to 160 million for him, which would break the British transfer record. Now, why is Isak worth this much money, you may be asking? Because if you look at his goal tally with Newcastle, with Real Sociedad, it is good, but it doesn't compare to players like Haaland or Victor Gyökeres or Osimhen. But Isak is going for almost double the price that these players went for. And the reason for this is because he's a very unique player. He is tall, he's about 6'4", but normally players with this height and some of the other strikers I mentioned are much more clunky. They're not as good as dribbling, and they're more pass and go type of strikers. But Alexander Isak is very, very different because even though he is very tall, he's very lanky, he's very fast, and his dribbling is incredible. He has amazing dribbling as a striker. He's very silky, he has very good close control, and he still has that capability of holding up the ball, but he also has the ability to take on defenders one-on-one and to create chances using his own dribbling ability. This is very unique for a player of his size, and majority of strikers in world football don't have the ability and the height that Isak has. But one other player that does have similar traits to Isak in terms of the height, in terms of the dribbling, in terms of the ability to take on the defenders one-on-one is Hugo Ekitike, who is already at Liverpool. Now, let's move away from Isak for a little bit and let's talk about Hugo Ekitike. He's a very young player, only 23 years old, and we have already seen him play for some very big clubs. We saw him with PSG for the last few seasons, we saw him with Eintracht Frankfurt, and now we are seeing him with Liverpool. And I think that he will definitely shine with Arne Slot's system. Last season was definitely his breakout season where he got 22 goals in all competitions for Frankfurt, but he also got 12 assists, which is very, very good. And a lot of strikers, you see them getting the goals, but you don't see them getting the assists. And that is what is so good about Hugo Ekitike, because similar to Isak, he's not a normal striker. He's not a normal number 9. He has the dribbling ability. He has the passing. He has the ability to create chances for his teammates. And that's why he will work so good with Liverpool. If we look at Liverpool last season, they were one of the best teams in the world. They won the Premier League a few months before it ended. And at some points throughout the Champions League campaign, before obviously they did get knocked out to PSG, a lot of people were saying that Liverpool could also win the Champions League. And if you look at their team last season, which I already mentioned was absolutely phenomenal, they weren't playing with a real striker. For majority of the season, we saw Luis Diaz playing in the striker position. Sometimes we saw Darwin Núñez, sometimes Diogo Jota, RIP. But for majority of the season, it was Luis Diaz playing in that central position. And the thing that we saw with Luis Diaz is that a lot of the time he didn't stay in the center of the pitch. A lot of the times he drifted out to the left side and sometimes also to the right side. And this pairs up perfectly with Hugo Ekitike because he's another striker who doesn't stay in that central position. He often drifts out to the left side, and we saw that a lot last season with Frankfurt. For majority of the second half of last season with Frankfurt, he was playing as a lone striker, and with his versatility, with his speed, his dribbling, we saw him drift out to the wide positions a lot more often than staying strictly in the center. And this works very well with Arne Slot because obviously he's used to Luis Diaz, who used to do this. So now bringing in Hugo Ekitike in that position, it will be a very comfortable switch because both players play a similar sort of style. But in my opinion, Hugo Ekitike plays even better when he has a partner in that striker position, as we saw for the first half of last season when Omar Mahmoud was still at Frankfurt. Majority of the times they played together, Mahmoud on the left, Ekitike on the right, and they worked very, very well together. They would pass the ball very well together. They could create chances. Ekitike would drift to the right, Mahmoud would drift to the left, and they could create a lot of chances like this. And now, with Liverpool having already signed Hugo Ekitike and looking to sign Alexander Isak, I think they can recreate a two-striker formation, a two-striker pair in the front. I think this will be the best striker partnership in the whole world. And like I already mentioned, clearly Slot enjoys these type of players because last season Liverpool were incredible with Luis Diaz, who isn't a proper number 9. So now signing Ekitike and possibly signing Alexander Isak, these are more players who will play in the middle but can drift out wide, can take on the defenders one-on-one, and that is clearly what Arne Slot likes, and that's why Liverpool are going to be unstoppable. Similarly to Hugo Ekitike, if we look at Alexander Isak's heat map from last season with Newcastle, it wasn't that often where he was directly in the center of the front line. We saw him drift out to the right, he would drift out to the left, he would pick up the ball deep, and he would move all across that attacking area. And now with Hugo Ekitike also being a very versatile player, similarly to Isak, this will be very, very beneficial for Liverpool. Now, I have been hearing a lot of debates online with people wondering what the best formation for Liverpool will be with Ekitike and Alexander Isak. And in my opinion, I think playing in a 4-4-2 formation would be best suited for Liverpool. In this formation, I think that I would prioritize playing Ekitike as the right striker with Isak as the left striker. I would put Salah obviously in the right wing position and Wirtz playing in the left wing position. But Wirtz and Salah would have a very different role because Salah would be playing more as a winger. I think he would push up more. I think he would make more runs. Whereas Wirtz, on the other hand, I think would drop more into the middle, try and find space in the pockets. And this would allow Isak on that left striker position to have more space and more freedom in that attack. We also saw with Frankfurt that a lot of the time Ekitike would prioritize his right foot over his left foot. So for that reason, playing in the 4-3-3 formation with both Ekitike and Salah up top with only one other attacker, I think wouldn't work out the best because having Ekitike, who's a very one-footed person, obviously Salah is also a very one-footed person, I think it would be a little bit obvious. When now, if you add in Isak, you add in Wirtz to that left-hand side, who can come into the middle, he can spread out the ball to Isak, to Ekitike in the middle, or to Salah on the right wing position. I think this will give them so many options, so many attacking outlets, and I think they could score maybe even 100 goals next season. With that being said, if on the off chance Liverpool don't end up securing Alexander Isak, I personally think that they will not be as good next season because, like I already said with Frankfurt, we saw that Ekitike playing as a solo striker wasn't always the best, and he did make some mistakes. Sometimes he wasn't the most decisive player, but playing alongside Mahmoud, he was much, much better. So similarly, him playing alongside Alexander Isak, I think would be the best striker partnership in the whole world by far. And that is the end of this video where I talked about how Liverpool could line up next season, some of the tactics that they could use, and how signing Alexander Isak completely changes their team. If you guys agree with me, remember to leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this sort of analytical style of video, remember to let me know in the comment section if you want to see this type of video with other teams like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, maybe Bayern Munich. I will for sure make another video. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.